morning, everyone. Today is the 7th of April, 2021. It is a day of discovery here at Solar Ionics Institute, where we discover the sun and particles and how the two seem to be converging in between biology and astrophysics. Now, how does that happen? Well, when you're dealing with minutiae, and that is what we are essentially, and the building blocks of the universe and the building blocks of the human anatomy, and the body of the biology and the chemistry and all that, we really are turning to the most minute particles, particle physics. And particle physics has a lot to do with astrophysics first and foremost, because they're the ones discovering it more and more, in the fact that they are trying to figure out the nanoparticles. Nanoparticles are the building blocks of our universe, and of course this comes down to the different levels of dimensions. We have the primary dimension of the protoplasm, the original protoplasm, the sun energy, which is probably the first energy. Like, you're looking at the original energy of our universe right there, the protoplasm, which is connected to other protoplasm, so stars are all interconnected. And then you look at other things like the way the proteins and the particles in our bodies are constructed and designed, and the design comes through different energy signature cycles. So perhaps you will see formas that will be similar to various levels. Like you'll see the first dimension, when the sun came off the flat dimension to the first dimension, and the slough, we had the beginning of duality. Before that, the plasma is a singularity. It is the quantum universe, and all other constructs came from that. So whatever energies happened after the first slough would be producing a certain form, and then the second dimensional form. And you'll see that in the sun, it goes through various dimensional energy cycles. And I've noticed that even I think it's called the arrays of the sun would show 1 or 2, maybe 3, 4, 5, going up to whatever amount, 360 perhaps, of the circle being the most perfect constructed design. Even Einstein could draw a perfect circle. So how did that happen? Obviously it happens because of one thing. Our own protoplasm, our form is probably circular. What we see in the illusion of the division is probably other, I would call it grid shapes or formas, which kind of do tend to create an illusion as to what we are. Our aura around us does prove that we have a circular entity originally, and that through time and entropy, we become this multi-dimensional, multi-celled, 70 trillion celled continual divisional, until we reach a critical mass of going back to the original protoplasm again, which cycles and does recharge the entity of the protoplasm, perhaps. Perhaps that is the perpetual motion machine that is required for the entity of the quantum, of the singularity, to exist, needing a duality, a multiplicity duality. But understanding this can take some time. But definitely the nanoparticles and the sublimation of the proton does help our bodies retain a certain amount of eternality, I suppose. And the Methuselah star having a great deal to do with it. Obviously that's been here longer than the last Big Bang, so there must have been more Big Bangs, or something before the Big Bang. It has to do with the fact that there's more to this than we can imagine, and we need to figure out. No wonder people are skeptical about having mRNA due to the fact of the complications of the clots, and then there's other issues. And if you have susceptibility, you should be very concerned, of course, why thousands are missing their appointments because of these new things coming out every day. It's not like this has been tested, even though it's saying that it's been tested officially. But, I mean, it takes 20 years for a generation to really prove effectiveness of a vaccine. And we know that this is not really a vaccine. It is a mRNA therapy. It's more of a therapy than it is a vaccine, because a vaccine produces antibodies, whereas I heard this concept doesn't really produce that so much as to stop the initial attack. So it's not like your body's doing a lot. It is in this way, in that it's been reconstructed. So it's more of a reconstructionist vaccine than it is a promotion of your own body's defenses to create antibodies for this incoming virus or nanoparticle, whatever it is. Well, we have to figure out what particles and molecules are and atoms and their interactions and the size, and whether they're duality or whether they are singular, whether they are proton, whether they are plasma. Well, there's a lot to learn. Proton, plasma, that's pretty well the same thing. They have quantum proton now. They discovered, I know, it's amazing. Quantum proton, the original protoplasm or proton plasm. As I was saying before, this is a great discovery for mankind, and I'm really glad that we're getting somewhere to understanding this divisional bit with our own proton entity. And I do believe we have the eternal proton within us, the G particle, which we think of as the third eye, which is really the tertium. Yes, it's got to be. This is all about that Methuselah star within us, that molecule within us that is indivisible, that is perhaps, as they call, an eternality particle. And that's the original particle, the God particle that we're supposed to be and live from, which perhaps because of being here so long on the earth, it's entropized and it's going back to cycle, or we've discovered how to recycle it so that we live longer and that we live better lives and more spiritually filled lives. Hopefully all this will come to be and we'll understand it, and that we cannot die. The part of us, our consciousness, that seems to be beyond the physical realm is going to be understood, and all the near-death experiences and all the work done by parapsychologists will be understood for what it is, because it's needed more information. We didn't have the whole picture, and we really need the whole picture. We need the whole truth to make a decision, and that goes with everything going on today. That's why people are skeptical, because we don't know the whole truth. If we were given the whole truth and we could prove the whole truth, it's not just knowing it, but proving it, then we would definitely go for it. Okay, well, have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye, Z's.